possibly already seeing the videos from Nepal. Now, what is happening in Nepal? Well, a revolution, because there are people who have come to realize that if you want to do away with a corrupt system, if you want to do away with unrepentant crooks, career criminals, controlling your government, that are making your country never to work for you, then election is not enough, because like some very dangerous, viruses, they tend to build immunity against any antibiotics, right? And that's exactly what it is for the criminal politicians who have built criminal empire in your political system. They've corrupted every supposed organ of government that should ordinarily serve as a check and balances for all of them in the interest of their people. Corrupt criminals who carries out state captures whenever they capture power. They will advise their own citizens to endure while they live lavish, luxurious lives. Their children are all over social media, living the life of the bourgeoisie, the children of the bourgeoisie, you know, and the traumatized population just watch powerlessly. Their situation is so similar to what you have in that contraption called Nigeria. It is so similar. Let me tell you this. They have been so oppressed, right? The Communist Party in Nepal, they've been in power for a while, however, like they have become so established in the system whereby people have been made to accept that there's nothing they can do. They watch as their common resources or common patrimony, were being, filtered away and then stolen in such an unimaginable kind of level, right? But they tend to be so powerless. They went for an election, the same criminals rigged the election, and they remain in power. So it got so bad that people only had to use social media to vent their rage, to vent their displeasure against their government. And of course, as expected, right? The supposed democratic government turned to totalitarian dictatorship, where those who they called dissidents or dissent, right, and those who criticized the government on social media became easy targets. The Gestapos in government, hunting down anybody who says anything that makes any of the government officials feels uncomfortable, like you have in Nigeria, that they are struggling to make laws to jail you for expressing yourselves on social media. According to them, like Nigeria too, they demanded that, the social media platforms, the companies must register. They have been registered in Nepal, so that with that, maybe that will give them an opportunity to control the narrative. That is, after capturing their normal conventional media. So social media became the unconventional one where conversations are not regulated. So dictators, criminals in power, hiding behind fake democracy to oppress their people, right? Thought if they force the hands of Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, and all of these platforms, if they force them to, force them to register in Nepal, have their offices there, that old mentality, right? Have their offices there, then they can be able to not only to shut down the oppositions and all that, and then they can shut down the entire platform just by a switch. And that has been the dream of the APC, Egbekegbe, in Nigeria too. So similarly, right, the poverty in the country continued to increase. The politicians continued and their families continued to live so large, you know, extravagantly. And whoever says anything, they get arrested or they just disappear. Or for those ones that are not made to disappear, they tend to just put them on trumped up charges, like, oh, they want to overthrow government, or like they want to kill the prime minister, and all that bullshit. So it was when their government now came for the only thing left that, like in some other oppressed country, I mean, oppressed people in the oppressive regimes in oppressive countries, social media seems to be where, you know, people let out their frustration. So the government came for it, for that. And then the next thing, Baba, they banned social media. They shut it down. That is what now trigger like, okay, we've taken a lot. We've taken all of your madness. You have seen us as powerless and uncoordinated, not united. And we couldn't really fight you because you have the military, you have the police and the rest. Did you just come for our social media? That is it. And that's what will happen in Nigeria too. Do you get what I mean now? Like those of you who are preparing for your charade elections, right? You can have as many elections as you want. But to remove the demagogues, to get rid of an entrenched, corrupt system that continue to pop up these rogues and criminals that get away with their crimes against you, you are going to do more than just an election. And that is what they fear most. The day the dam will break, how many of them would they sweep? So yesterday, well, they started protesting. I mean, they didn't go for their government right away. They just wanted to let them know that they are not happy that you are making such a decisions, right? So they protested. And guess what happened? Yeah, power drunk criminals who think they are better than you and me simply because they have access to be in government. So automatically they feel like, they are better than you and I. And therefore you have to do what they say, not what they do. People protested peacefully. And the next thing, they unleashed the military on them, the police. And before you know it, they've killed 16 people in their own capital, just like your own Abuja, right? Kathmandu is called, right? They killed 16 people in another city next to it. They killed 2 people in a single day. That was it. That's not the first time they are being killed, though. They've had clamp down where they've had protests, and the government will clamp on them, and they will kill and jail, all that stuff, and nothing happens. But this one is different. Right? All hell broke loose. And that is why you are hearing about Nepal, 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 left, right, and center. But I've done you one very good favor, us. I've managed to get some of the clips of how it happened and what is going on in Nepal, at least in the last half an hour for those who are watching live. So what did they do? Right? The moment they found that these criminals believes that they are pretty much like untouchable, yeah, the Gen Z in the country, they kicked in. And what did the government do as well? They sent policemen into schools to start shooting students. That's it. There's no coming back from this. In their numbers, first they overwhelmed the security themselves. Some of them ran away. Some of them got beaten blue, black, like, honestly. Then it turned to revolution, straight up. Like they were ready to die. Guess what they did next? First, they went straight to the house of the prime minister, the head of the government. Right, they went for him. They found him and his wife. Right? They went to their airport, took over the part of their airport because, surprisingly, the government that was feeling so powerful, in control, few days ago, suddenly, they just saw the surge in the number of choppers at one of their capital airports, like so many shoppers, meaning the criminal politicians have made arrangements to leave the country, run away. But why would they get to the airport when everywhere is already taken over by people? I'm talking about tens, if not hundreds of thousands of people. Enough to get the soldiers, the military themselves, to run for their lives. Others dropped their weapons and they joined the protest. it is coming to the dictator next to you. The day that of Nigeria will break, it's not going to be a revolution. It's going to be a civil war. I'll tell you what I think about that when we get to that side, right? So they went to their prime minister's house, overpowered the security, took over the house, his wife himself, beat them blue black, set the house ablaze. Entered their parliament, those who they could find, cabinet members, cabinet ministers, like finance, foreign minister, this and that. They managed to catch up with them. Their politicians were escaping the city in ambulances. Powerful politicians who always have an idea of what the people want. The moment you are like, you are talking rubbish, they will say you are the enemy of the country, enemy of the government. The criminal politicians started running away inside ambulances. Yet they still got a few of them too. I have videos. So we're going to go to Nepal, to the Ronukus who are in Nigeria, the day that the entire contraption is going to collapse. If any of you, maybe you go gather your bottle, gather your knife, say you want to defend this contraption because of Tifnubu and APC and the rest. That's why I said that it is not going to be a revolution in that contraption. It is going to be a civil war. So the criminals who are breeding the population of, big or tribalists for their political, weaponizing tribalism, weaponizing bigotry for their political gain, we have a film for you. When the alarm will sound, nobody is going to come and do it. They will set the country ablaze. And those who have already bottled their frustration, those who they feel like they have conquered, what will you do? Nothing. Now, noise all of now they make on social media. You have seen them done worse. You have seen all of their criminality. If it be just one small, what do you call it? If it be just one street hawker, that is going to want to cross the street, and one of the criminal politicians' convoy will knock the person down, and they will leave the person there, and the entire country will go up in smoke. It's not always like, you've seen the worst now. We saw what they did the last. Why people are not angry then? Why are they angry because of ordinary? Asked Nepal Prime Minister, in a communist country, do you understand how the communists operate? Don't worry. Let's go to Nepal. First, the rage, as well as the encounter, the clash with those who were supposed to protect the people, but suddenly they were protecting the powerful, protecting the politicians. Do you know that though, right? That your criminal police and the military that tells you that they are there to provide you security. When the chips are down, do you know who they are going to protect? They will turn their guns on you, the people, because the criminals who made you believe that these guys are working to protect you, right, will tell them to shoot and kill you. And they will turn it and shoot and kill you too. Now that day you go understand, say, your military is not for your protection. Your police is not for your protection. The day that you reach that point, you will find it out. Well, you've actually found a few times, right? Where the people who are paid by the taxpayers, who themselves, after taking off their uniforms, they go back to their family, they go back to their homes, they go back to the same street, the same market that every ordinary person also faces. But when the criminal politicians comes to judgment, you are willing to hold your gun and turn it against your fellow oppressed because you have a uniform, right? In Nepal, it didn't last long, right? Now let's go there. The first part.
School भित्र पनि अश्रु ग्यास सानो अबोध केटाकेटीलाई पढिरहेको अवस्थामा इटली नगरपालिकाबाट प्रहार गरिएका शस्त्रहरूले प्रहार गरेको अश्रु ग्यास विद्यालय क्षेत्रभित्र पनि प्रवेश गरिएको छ। यो चाहिँ अलिकति के त भन्दाखेरि सरासरी अपराधै गरेको सरासरी अपराधै भएन। यो चाहिँ अति भयो। बिचारा यहाँ पढ्ने विद्यार्थीहरू कसरी पढ्ने, कहाँ जाने, कुन अवस्थामा जाने, कसरी विचार गर्ने, कसले चाहिँ गर्ने यसको चाहिँ सरकारको ध्यानै कतातिर छ, विद्यार्थीहरू यतातिर छन्। हेर्नुहोस् त बिचारा यी सबै विद्यार्थीहरू कहाँ जाने, कसको आँखा समात्ने कसले मुख समात्ने हो कसरी पढ्ने छि 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 हट।
राम्रो बोल घरभित्र है घरभित्र राम्रो बोल घरभित्र यस्तो घरभित्र है आर्मीहरू जोइन गर्यो
They are Gen Z, by the way. They call them the Gen Z of Nepal. It's about to get to the interesting part. Because once they found these guys, not only that they were given the beating of their lives, these powerful people, their family and the rest of them found. I mean, these are people who have lived under this oppression for so long. Do you understand? Bottled frustration. Politicians didn't care because they had the power, they had the military. Most of the time when you see them put so much money on buying weapons or upgrading their military, upgrading their policemen, they are mostly training them on what they call the crowd control too. But their crowd control is to, use the force of arm when necessary. And most of the time, it is always necessary to protect them with that. So what did people do? Once they found their homes, overwhelmed their security, got in, they dragged them out and they set their properties ablaze. Because according to them, it's stolen money anyway. You didn't work for this money to live in this kind of a house. No, you didn't. You stole the money because of the privilege the country gave you. But what did you give the country back? The middle finger. and the audacity for most of you to feel like nothing will ever happen. Like you're so confident that the number of